VR is at this really fascinating turning point. We're finally moving past the age of flashy tech demos and short experiences and into an era of deep, truly ambitious games that are actually built to last. In 2026, wow, it's shaping up to be a massive year. And in this explainer, we're going to break down 3 of the most exciting, officially confirmed titles that prove the future we've been waiting for is finally here.
And this quote right here, it just nails it. For the longest time, the VR industry was all about moving hardware, right? Just selling the headsets themselves. But now, the light bulb has gone off. Developers get it. The real secret sauce is creating games that you don't just play for an afternoon, but for weeks, even months. We're talking about games with real depth, progression systems, fun social features, and just actual replayability.
So what's causing all this? Well, it's a huge shuffle happening behind the scenes. You've got the big players like Meta, who used to pour tons of money into making their own exclusive games, and now, well, they're kind of shifting their strategy. And what that does is it opens up this massive opportunity, this huge space for all these hungry, super ambitious third-party studios to jump in and say, okay, we'll define what's next. Okay, so here's the game plan. We'll touch a bit more on this big turning point for VR. Then, we're jumping right into the good stuff. 3 huge games. We've got the immersive world of Automata, the co-op heists in Payday, and the nightmare fuel that is Little Nightmares in VR. And at the end, of course, we want to hear from you. Right, so this is really the core idea here, this switch from a hardware push to a software pull. Think about it like this. A few years ago, you'd try VR just because it was VR, right? The wow factor was the tech itself. But now it's about making games so good, so unmissable, that they become the reason you run out and buy a headset in the first place. All right, let's kick things off with a game that looks like it could set a whole new bar for single-player VR. I'm talking about Automa. This thing is the perfect example of what we're talking about, a deep, narrative-heavy adventure that was born and bred exclusively for VR. So the team behind this is Phosphor Games. It's a story-driven action-adventure, and get this, it's coming in 2026 to pretty much everything, PCVR, PSVR 2, and both Quest 2 and 3. So yeah, no matter what headset you have, you're covered, which is awesome to see. And the setup? Ooh, man, it sounds so cool. You're in this near-future city in Southeast Asia, and a rogue AI has completely taken over. To protect your family, you make some kind of shady deal, and that, of course, just spirals you down a rabbit hole into a huge mystery. The whole point seems to be exploring and interacting with a world that's meant to feel genuinely, alive. And this right here, this quote from the devs gets right to the heart of what could make Automa so special. They are all in on physics and intuitive interactions. I mean, we're talking about Half-Life Alyx levels of detail, but with the goal of running this on standalone headsets too. Think about that. Shaking a bottle and watching the liquid slosh around realistically. That's the kind of stuff they're aiming for. It's that deep, reactive gameplay that leads to those whoa moments. The things that aren't scripted, that happen just because you decided to try something. That's what makes VR magic. Okay, so we've covered the deep, single-player mystery. Now, let's do a complete 180 and talk about some 4-player mayhem. I think this next one could easily be the biggest co-op game of the year. Payday Aces High. This is coming from a studio that absolutely knows VR. Fast Travel Games. They're legends. And they're building a 4-player co-op heist shooter smack in the middle of that Payday universe we all know and love. We're looking at a 2026 release for this one on Meta Quest and Steam VR. So the core of the game is your new crew, known as the Aces, and it's all about picking your role. It looks like it's built for some really strategic VR gameplay. Who are you going to be, right? Are you the mastermind, the brains of the operation? The ghost sneaking around like a shadow? Maybe the technician, the one with all the cool gadgets? Or, are you just the enforcer, the person who kicks down the door when things go south? It's a classic setup, and for good reason. It's going to make teamwork and replaying heists a ton of fun. Now, this is something the developers are shouting from the rooftops, and it's so important. This is not a port of a flat-screen game. Absolutely not. Payday Aces High is being built from the ground up specifically for VR. The whole idea is to make you feel like you're pulling off the heist. You're not just controlling a character, you're in their shoes. All right, let's switch gears one more time. We've done co-op chaos, now let's talk about some intense solo survival. Our last big game for 2026 takes a franchise people absolutely love and flips it on its head in the most terrifying way possible by literally putting you inside of it. Let's talk about Little Nightmares VR.
So this one is being developed by Iconic Studio with the backing of the original publisher, Bandai Namco. It's another one that's hitting all the big headsets, PSVR 2, Steam VR, and the Quest platform. And hey, we actually have a solid release date for this one. Get ready for April 24th, 2026.
Okay, so in this one, you're playing as a new character called Dark Six on some kind of quest to become whole again. If you've played the originals, the loop will sound familiar. You're solving these tricky, physics-based puzzles while trying to escape from these absolutely grotesque, oversized monsters. But, and this is a huge but, the move to first person, that changes everything.
And that is the whole point, isn't it? The originals were so creepy because that third-person camera made it feel like you were looking into a horrible dollhouse. But in VR, you're not watching anymore. You're in the dollhouse. You're a participant. That incredible sense of scale, the feeling of being tiny in a massive, hostile world, that oppressive atmosphere, it's all going to be dialed up to 11 because you'll feel like you are physically there.
Okay, so let's step back for a second and look at the big picture. What do these three games really tell us about where VR is headed in 2026? What's just so awesome to see is the sheer variety and, frankly, the maturity of these titles. You've got Automa, this deep, physics-based single-player journey. Then you have Payday, which is all about strategic, social, co-op fun. And you round it out with Little Nightmares, a pure atmospheric horror that's going to scare the pants off of us. The takeaway is clear. These aren't tech demos, these aren't gimmicks, these are full-fat, incredible games that just happen to be in VR. This is that software-driven era we've been waiting for. And look, this is just a taste. These are only 3 of the huge games coming our way, and each one is a completely different world to get lost in. So now the question is for you. After seeing all this, which one are you jumping into first? Are you going to be gearing up for the heist, trying to unravel that AI mystery, or are you brave enough to face the nightmare head-on? Let us know which world you're most excited to enter first.